Welcome back to the Retire Young radio show. I am your host, Joshua David, talking about financial literacy, or Al, we talk about this every week, lack thereof. So we're raising awareness to financial illiteracy worldwide. If you're just tuning in, Al was shedding some light on how the smart money is creating income using the stock market, how they're also creating income with the futures market, the Forex market. Now, there's different concepts and techniques that they're using that the public don't know. They use leverage, but also they're open 24 hours, which screams out more opportunity for us as average investors. So, Al, as we get into this third segment, we have a lot of listeners that are preparing to retire, and then some that have retired but want to continue their same lifestyle. Now, there's been a lot of uncertainty with this market in 2020. We had a big drop right away. And now everybody's been in recovery mode. So a lot of people think, oh, hey, here's what people will say. Since April, I'm up, 40% or 50%, whatever that may be. That's just a mindset that people try to just convince themselves that they're doing really good. In reality, it's recovery. They're not back to where they were when this drop happened. Now, the most important years to protect what you have is a few years before you retire, but also a few years right after you retire.
Correct.
Now, let's talk about some different concepts and techniques that the smart money are using to protect what they have, but really just to sustain their retirements over years of time.
Yeah, well, what you just mentioned is extremely important. The performance of your portfolio just before you retire and then right after you retire, that really is going to dictate to you the quality of your lifestyle in retirement. And it would be a shame if somebody spent 30 or 40 years working hard, putting money into their retirement accounts just to have the market take 30, 40, 50, 60% away. It's happened 3 times in this last century. In the year 2000, we had a 50% crash in the S&P 500. In the year 2008, 57% crash. And then earlier this year, the market was down about 34%. Every time that happens, just to get back to where you were before, you have to have a much higher return. If the market's down 50%, your portfolio has to go up 100% just to get back to where you were before. That can take many, many years. And when you retire, you don't have many, many years left just to let that happen. And the other thing to remember is that in retirement, it used to be the golden number was $1 million. If you had $1 million, that was probably going to be enough to get you through your retirement years. Well, that's changing. Right now, Americans think they'll need to have at least $1.9 million on average. The millennials and Gen Xers, they're looking at more like $2 million. So that number has changed. But, you need to ask yourself, how much do you need? What's your number?
Well, Al, if you think about what's the average that the U.S. person has, I believe it's under $100,000.
It is under $100,000. And we talked a lot about a retirement crisis. And that probably has been exacerbated because a lot of people, when we go through these major market drawdowns, take money out of their 401ks.
Yeah, so people need to do something different, and they don't need to wait to do that. They need to do that right now.
Well, to be prepared is the key. This is a great time while the market still is functioning in a positive manner. This is a great time to learn how to take advantage of different situations because the market never goes in a straight line, up or down. It will go zigzag. We typically will have at least 10% or greater correction every year. So there are going to be these pullbacks, and those are opportunities that people can take advantage of. And understand when you go into retirement, what do you know about taxes? What you can look at what taxes are now, but what are they going to be in 10 or 20 years? What about inflation? There was a period of time not that long ago when people were paying double-digit percentages for their mortgages, maybe 10, 12, 15%. Now down around 2 or 3%. What if that changes? What do you do? Well, there are opportunities to generate money from your retirement savings instead of just drawing them down. You're going to have to take out required minimum distributions, but typically that's what those retirement savings amounts, that's what people rely on to get them through retirement. So that dwindles every time that money is taken out to take a trip or pay some bills, that amount goes down. What if you could learn how to generate money from that account And then also, there are opportunities available to protect your retirement savings. So if the market does go through a correction or, say, a bear market shortly before you retire, right after you retire, you can have protection on your portfolio. And then there are opportunities available to grow your retirement savings. So maybe you want to leave a legacy. Maybe you want to leave some money for your kids or your grandkids, maybe for some of you great grandkids, or just do some charitable things.
Yeah, and here's the thing, Al, and the reality of it is people just don't have enough to retire, and it's just that you have to make changes, and you have to do things differently, and you can't wait till tomorrow or the next day or till your ducks get in a row. You have to do things early. Whether you're in your 50s, whether you're in your 60s, that's never too late. You're still in the second quarter of your life, so you have a lot of time to be able to, do the things that you want to do. And it all comes down to protecting what you have, but also being able to grow that, because once you retire, you're technically unemployed. So that's an important time to have income during retirement. And the smart money, that's what they're doing. So we want to trade and invest like the smart money. So Al, you talk a lot about these different concepts and strategies and techniques that the smart money use to really reach their goals. That's what they're doing. They're always reaching their goals. Now, if we can just kind of follow what they do and learn the skill, we want to be able to do what they do, and it's just learning that skill. Now, let's talk about self-directing, because a lot of investors that want to be able. We're seeing more people want more control with their life, but more control with their retirement accounts, because they feel their broker or their advisor is just not doing what they want them to do. If they ask them to do, sometimes I'm hearing that they're not doing it as well. So people want more control. How do you self-direct your accounts?
Yeah, the advice that's typically given by Wall Street actually is just don't worry about these drawdowns, these corrections, these crashes. Just hold on, and everything is going to be fine.
Makes you feel warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, not so much when the market is going down. And then the other advice that people are giving, and I think they're tired of hearing this, is learn to live on less. Learn to cut back on things. Maybe you don't retire when you want to, or maybe you get a side job when you're retired. Those are not the kinds of things that people look forward to doing when they're retiring. It's just the opposite. You don't want to cut back on things. The first thing you do when you retire, you don't want it to be putting together a list of the things that you have to learn to live without. So a lot of people are looking at the markets as a way of helping them through that. Unfortunately, a lot of people just continue to leave their money in a portfolio that really is not providing the maximum amount of benefits for them, and that's their 401k or their 403b, and that is what they're counseled on putting as much money as they can into the 401ks or whatever your employer-sponsored retirement plan is, even after you retire. Well, they're mediocre choices to begin with. They have high fees that take a lot of what could be yours away from you. And remember, every dollar that is taken away in a fee is a dollar that's no longer compounding and growing additional dollars for you. So protection is huge, but also self-directing allows you to set up a self-directed IRA, a self-directed Roth IRA, or traditional IRA where you don't have any fees. So right off the bat, that's a big advantage for you. And then what about the choices? Compared to what is available in a typical 401k or 403b, you can trade many additional things. The leveraged assets we talk about. You can have opportunities to participate in a down market or a sideways market in addition to an up market.
Al, I want to continue that discussion on the next segment about self-directing, because I believe that's so important to be able to have control of what your money, and that's your money. You are the only and the best steward for your money. So I want to continue that in the next segment. But think about that. If you can control what you have and control what your life looks like, not having a stranger do that. And we get it. The markets, they're up. So this whole concept of, we're in it for the long haul, market always goes up over time, that's ingrained in our life, in our minds. But it doesn't. And here's the thing as well. There's opportunities no matter which way it goes. So think about this. If you can sleep better at night, understanding that you're protected, that could be a much better sleep at night. As I said, Al, I want to continue this discussion on self-directing portfolios, IRAs, especially that one. But I also want to talk about why it's so important to have a plan in your investment strategy, also how to start. And this is Josh and Al with the Retire Young radio show. We will be right back.